What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mind Something. If you're new here, my name is Jake, and in today's video, we're going to review my Hivemapper Dashcam experience as well as go over earnings for the past 90 days. Also going to take a look at a recent proposal change as well as some new incentives to earn the native coin honey. But before we get into the content, if you would do me a favor, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so by the end of the video. So if you did not watch my first video that I put out a little over 2 months ago, and you're not too familiar with Hivemapper, I would recommend watching that video first. But for those of you that are familiar, let's go ahead and dive into the Hivemapper Explorer. So here we can see that so far we have mapped 38 million kilometers, 4.3 million of those being unique, and we have a total of 20,389 contributors. Now, if we take a look at the video that I posted roughly about 2 months ago, that's getting close to 90 days, we had 14,333 contributors. So we're looking at an increase of roughly 35% of the total contributors increasing. And if you compare that to something like helium, you're going to see pretty quickly that there's not as much adoption as fast, which means that your rewards won't be reduced as drastically as some of the other projects that have rolled out, at least judging by how many contributors have been added over the last 90 days. Having said that, over time, the rewards will go down as you share these rewards with more contributors. So the faster you're part of the network, the higher your rewards will be for longer. Now, let's take a look at some recent announcements. So first of all, we've got a proposal for privacy zones, and then we also have something called Open Road, which is a series of community-wide events that allows Hivemapper contributors to earn special rewards for achieving objectives like a video game, but for real-world explorers. Each season of Open Road will run for a limited period of time and will include unique objectives that further our collective mission for building a fresh global map. And if we take a look a little bit more in detail what they're referring to here, I'm just going to kind of scroll down here and we'll get to the details. So if we achieve this 6 million kilometer objective, the Hivemapper Foundation will unlock a special airdrop of 6 million honey, rewarding contributors with 3 honey per kilometer of roads mapped for the first time during the season. Special rewards, badges, and surprises. You will automatically join Open Road Season 1 Trailblazers by mapping with a Hivemapper Dashcam between August 7th and October 1st of 2023. Now, the current time of recording right now is August 11th, so this just started and you have plenty of time to contribute. Taking part in the quest is as simple as choosing the road less traveled for whatever trips you have planned. Just check out Hivemapper Explorer and find an unmapped road for that road trip you have planned to a national park for your commute to work or while visiting family out of town. Every day can be an adventure if you make it one. So, for example, if we go back to the Explorer here, if you're looking for an unmapped area, you can pull up this to figure out, let's take for example Dallas, Texas. Now this area looks like it's very saturated. However, if you start to zoom in, you're going to see lots of little areas that are unmapped. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a road trip. It could just be right in your backyard, going through a street that hasn't been traveled yet. And that's going to help you contribute towards this unique kilometers in order to get to the 6 million. And we're currently at 4.3 million. So yeah, the sooner we get there, the better. And then we get the unlock. Now let's move on and let's talk about this new MIP, or Map Improvement Proposal number 5. So the Hivemapper Foundation is proposing the creation of a network privacy zone where the Hivemapper network would not accept map data. Examples of NPZs would include military bases and industrial facilities that are closed to the public and have rules prohibiting camera use. While driving inside an NPZ, contributors would not be able to submit imagery to the Hivemapper network or receive rewards. The list of NPZs would be publicly available and will be maintained by a committee of Hivemapper community members. This proposal will be open for comment until Tuesday, August 15th, at which point the Hivemapper Foundation plans to release a final decision. The mission of the Hivemapper network is to map the world. However, it is important to recognize there are limitations to what should be mapped. Although we believe mapping should be permissionless on public roads, this does not extend to private property, where unrestricted mapping can infringe on other entities' rights to privacy. There are two types of privacy zones that the Hivemapper network initially plans to support: network privacy zones and personal privacy zones. So, some locations of the world were never meant for the public to see. Examples include military bases and restricted access industrial areas that are closed to the public and enforce restrictions on image collection. Then we'll have personal privacy zones, or PPZs. Some map contributors drive places they would prefer not to share with the Hivemapper network, such as private residences and workplaces. Today, these contributors can unplug their dash cams to avoid submitting imagery for these locations. For the sake of convenience, the Hivemapper network plans to add functionality allowing contributors to designate areas of the map as off limits for their own personal mapping. Other users will still be able to submit imagery for these areas. So I think that's great. I think it's something that I'm really glad to see that they're implementing something like this. It sounds like the proposal will go through in a short matter of time, and then we can not have to worry about having to unplug our dash cam whenever we get close to home. Now, I know why most of you guys are here, and that is you want to see exactly how much honey I've earned over the past 90 days. Okay, so I've got a little screen recording of the app showing exactly how much honey I have earned since I received the Hivemapper Dashcam, which was on April 19th of 2023. So we're going to go ahead and let this video play, and you're going to start to notice that there definitely are some weeks where I earned more than others. And typically this is because I went out of town, and during that time, of course, I'm driving a much further distance than I normally would when I'm working in town. So some of these are actually road trips for vacation. Some of them are road trips specifically for work. Now, at the end or the top of this, once it completes, will show you exactly the total amount of honey that I've earned during this time period, which, as you can see, is 21,333 total honey. Now, if we take a look at the current price of honey right now, we can see that it is 0.0134 cents. You can also see that I have exactly 11,210 kilometers mapped from the time that I received the Hivemapper Dashcam. And then here you can see the total tokens that I've earned. Down here you can see the kilometers mapped per day. And you'll notice that there's many days over the past week or so that I did not receive anything. And that is because my vehicle was actually getting repaired. So I didn't have the ability to put it in the vehicle that I was driving in the meantime. And so I haven't been mapping for roughly about a week now. But let's go ahead and move on to a spreadsheet that I created. And this is going to give you a great idea of exactly what to expect if you were in the lowest reward area possible. Okay, so in this spreadsheet, I have total kilometers driven, which is 11,210. We've got total miles driven, which is 6,965. I've earned 21,333 honey, and that is the equivalent of 1.9 honey per kilometer, or 3.06 honey per mile. Now, if we take a look at the current price of honey, which is 0.01341 cents, That means I have earned $286 at current fiat value, which is more than the cost of the Hivemapper Dashcam currently. Now that price is subject to change. However, at the end of the video, I'm going to leave you a link to purchase the Hivemapper Dashcam as well as a 10% off code. Now, if we go a little bit further, we can see that in terms of fiat value, that's roughly about 2.5 cents per kilometer, or roughly 4 cents per mile. And I also have a calculator here that you guys can use if you want to figure out how much you're looking at earning depending on how many miles you're driving. So for example, if you drive 1,000 miles a week in the lowest reward area for mapping, then you're looking at $41.07 in terms of fiat value at the current valuation of honey. Now, if you only drive, let's say, for example, 250 miles a week, then you're looking at about $10. Now, if you want to calculate this, let's say, for example, by the year, I think an average person probably drives somewhere between 15,000 miles and 20,000 miles a year. So let's just say 16,000 miles, you're looking at $657. And if you were to drive, let's say, 50,000 miles a year, then you're looking at over $2,000 in terms of fiat value if the price of honey never went up or down, which we both know it is going to do. Now, again, I'd like to remind you that based on the mileage that I have driven over the past roughly 90 days, we'll say roughly 7,000 miles, that is the equivalent of roughly 28,000 miles per year. Now that seems excessive, but I do travel quite a bit for work, and I have had a few vacations over this summer, so keep that in mind. Now again, if you're in an area that has much higher rewards, then this could be even better for you. So this is potentially worst case scenario as far as the areas that I'm currently mapping, and it does not include the incentives that they're adding for mapping areas that have not been mapped yet. So overall, when you compare this to something like GPU mining or ASIC mining or even FPGA mining, it could be pretty lucrative, especially if you're doing a lot of driving. Now, there are other incentives other than purchasing a dashcam. You can actually contribute to the Hivemapper AI trainer, and that doesn't cost you anything. You just simply need to sign up for it, and you can do that one of a few ways. I would recommend perhaps going to the Explorer, and you'll notice here there is a button referred to as Build the Map, and in there they have Train Map AI. Now, if you are considering buying a Hivemapper Dashcam, I'm going to leave a link down in the description below that you can follow, and if you use code MINDSUM, they're going to give you an extra 10% off. Currently, the price of the Hivemapper Dashcam is down to $279, and with the discount code, you're getting an extra $27.90 off of that, or a total of $251.10. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you would, do me a favor. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that as well. And I'll see you guys on the next one.